Pokémon XD Gale of Darkness. You know it, and you probably love it. Pokémon XD is the sequel to Pokémon Colosseum, and therefore serves as an extension of the original game's vision. Frankly, these two Pokémon games are a couple of the most unique, interesting, and best designed entries in the entire franchise, and deserve to stand amongst the likes of Emerald, Platinum, and Black and White 2 when talking about what makes up the gold standard of what a Pokémon game should be. While some would say Pokémon Colosseum is a little, well, off. What with its strange level curve, less than stellar selection of Pokémon, and shorter main campaign, Pokémon XD takes what good things Colosseum brought to the table and expands on all of them, extending and fixing the level curve and progression, increasing the number and variety of available Pokémon, and creating a campaign that gives you more time with your partner Pokémon. Now, I've done a vanilla Nuzlocke of Colosseum, and a vanilla Nuzlocke of XD, the latter of which I just recently made public on my channel after 2 years of being unlisted. Why was it unlisted, you might ask? Well, I thought I'd get around to editing highlights of it, but I didn't. Last summer, I did a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Grand Colosseum, a difficulty ROM hack of Pokemon Colosseum made by Kaya that mixed up encounters, enemy trainer teams, and the base stats, abilities, and types of a number of Pokemon. This was a ton of fun, but in the aftermath of our run, there were numerous requests for me to do a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon XG, developed by Stars, a mod of XD which does everything that Grand Colosseum does, but cranked up multiple notches. On top of altered encounters and Pokemon changes, there are items and moves from Generation 7 and beyond. The enemy trainers are tough, and the Shadow Pokemon are absurdly strong due to a ton of new moves that have been added to the game that can really pack a punch. Now that we've laid the groundwork of what this challenge entails, let's hop right in. As unlike Colosseum, Pokemon XD is the same length of a mainline Pokemon game, so there is a lot to get through. The game starts out as per usual, except in addition to our starter Pokemon Eevee, we're also in possession of a Zigzagoon. The only problem is that there are no HMs in this Gen 3 game, so therefore Zigzagoon's like 50% worse overall. Immediately, we're sent to go find our sister Jovi, who's at Dr. Kaminko's lab. Anyway, this is Chobin. He's a recurring character. He's not interesting at all. We beat him down, get Jovi back, and return to the HQ lab, where we're given the Snag Machine, which allows us to steal Shadow Pokemon from enemy trainers. Yeah, that's the gimmick of Colosseum and XD. Instead of catching them in the wild, you snag them during trainer battles, which leads to some insane battles, as Shadow Pokemon are significantly more dangerous than regular wild Pokemon due to their access to Shadow moves, which are always super effective versus non-Shadow Pokemon, and because they're controlled by an AI, who makes better decisions than your average wild Pokemon. All of a sudden, Professor Crane gets kidnapped by Cipher, the recurring antagonists of XD and Colosseum. On our way to save him, we capture a Shadow Taillow from Cipher Peon Naps with no difficulty. This is usually a Teddiursa in the base game, but I'll take a flying type, as it adds some much needed type diversity to my team.
We're normal!
After conferring with the fam at HQ, we decide we don't care at all that Professor Crane was taken, and we're going to move ahead with the plan, regardless of the crimes committed against us. It's like, oh, the professor just got kidnapped! We need a machine part. Why is this the priority? Call the police! At this point, we get to Gatton Port, where we encounter Zook, and the primary antagonist of the game and the leader of the Cipher organization, Grandmaster Grieval. Oh, sorry for the spoilers on a 17-year-old Pokemon game. Guys, his name is Grieval. It's a combination of greed and evil. Or maybe Bruce and Dweevil? Regardless, we get the opportunity now to decide what we want to evolve our Eevee into. And to me, there are only two real options: Umbreon and Vaporeon. In a challenge run like this, prioritizing bulk and team synergy is really important. So I poll my chat between the two, and the majority decide that Vaporeon would be the better pickup. 68% say Vaporeon. I want to get on the road. So we're gonna get a Waterstone. With access to Storm Drain in this game, and better type synergy with my team than Umbreon has, I'm happy with the result of the poll. We catch the Shadow Marill and Shadow Poochyena from the only two trainers in Gatton Port with Shadow Pokemon, and return to the lab with the machine part. We're then tasked with traveling to Agate Village to purify our Taillow and to learn how the process of purification works. The beginning of this game features relatively few battles and not too many encounters, so I'm just going to breeze past all the extra story stuff with Egan and...
Pikachu.
What level are you? We just got done with a battle with a level 13 and 14. Egan shows up with a level 25. Yeah, I'm not sure why Egan decided to come packing such a ridiculously strong Pikachu, but thankfully it only has Thunder Shock, which gets a crit because of course it does. Luckily, we scrape by with no deaths. After purifying Meryl and Poochyena, we assign our Pokemon some fantastic nicknames. Wolfie VGC cracks me up. No, I know they have lowercase letters. I don't want to use them. I'm a Gen 3 player, guys. Lowercase letters aren't a thing. We evolve our Eevee into
Vaporeon,
breeze past the Mount Battle section, and make our way to the Cipher Lab, where, and here we go. These are the Hexagon Brothers. They'll be recurring characters throughout the game, but this is the only opportunity we have to catch their shadow Pokemon. We start off with Green. Stars really didn't want these guys to keep their original names, I guess. Well, after a bit of a tight battle, we end up catching the Trico with little issue. At this point, I end up getting into a conversation with my chat on the balance of our rule set. In Grand Coliseum, we allowed ourselves one opportunity to catch every single shadow Pokemon, and if we failed, then it would no longer be available to us. However, unlike Grand Coliseum, which had around 40 usable encounters, XG has almost 100 encounters over the course of the main game. And even though it may be more difficult than Grand Coliseum was, I still felt that having access to potentially 100 Pokemon was too many, and maybe made this challenge too easy. We could, perhaps, this would be really interesting. We could flip a coin to see if we catch the Pokemon or not. Enter the coin. We decide that for every single shadow Pokemon we encounter, we'll flip a coin. Heads, we're allowed to catch it, and tails, we have to kill it, and are not allowed to use it. First, flip Louis the Meryl. Heads, we keep him. Tails, he dies. Let's go. That's huge. Meryl is insane. Tail low. Tailo also stays alive. We're 2 for 2. 2016 world champion, Wolf Glick. Stays! Trico. Unnamed. Stays! Actually massive. I mean, the odds aren't that crazy. We didn't have to give up anybody. Based game is based. Unbelievable. Well due for a tails after our streak of 5 head flips. We flip tails on Mudkip and Phanpy from blue and brown respectively, but flip heads on Electrike and Bagon. That's right, we have a Bagon this early into the game. Unfortunately, because we're playing a hardcore Nuzlocke and level caps are in effect, we won't be able to get a Salamence until much later down the line. Oh, the level caps, are those not on screen already? Silly me. When I made this layout, I didn't account for the coin or the level caps, so I guess we need to make some adjustments going into our second stream, huh? Well, not before accidentally killing the Shadow Pikachu that we were allowed to catch. We didn't have any boosts or nothing. Trico just sent it. I know Giga Drain's a high base power move. I get it. But what? Oh well. We still have Electrike as an electric type, right? Day 2, we continue on through the Cipher Lab and flip heads on our first encounter, Beedrill.
You like jazz?
All of these Shadow Pokemon have super effective moves versus our non-Shadows. On the flip side, Shadow moves are not very effective versus other Shadow Pokemon, which has the side effect of making our Shadow Pokemon a very important defensive asset. It becomes almost mandatory to have 1 or 2 unpurified Shadow Pokemon in the party for the sole sake of being able to switch into the high-powered, super effective moves these Pokemon are packing. Speaking of these moves, I know I touched on the fact that there are custom Shadow moves, but I don't think I touched on how many custom Shadow moves there actually are. Here's a list of all of them. What? Was that too fast for you? Well, the bottom line is that these Shadow moves are very often variations of moves that already exist. There's a Shadow version of Protect, Super Fang, Seismic Toss, Hurricane, Facade, and as it turns out, Fake Out. Please don't kill my Azu. Oh god, please don't kill my Azu. Oh my god, wait, what is the second Pokemon? I forget. No, we flinched? No! All right. Well, that is horrendous. And just like that, we suffer our first death of the playthrough. Granted, Azumarill was not at full HP, and I may have been playing a bit irresponsibly, losing what some would consider to be our best Pokemon at this point in time. We decide to clean up our play a little bit. We evolve our Zigzagoon Tech Tips into Linoon and continue on deeper into the Cipher Lab to save Crane. We're able to catch a Shadow Shroomish, which will not fill the Azumarill-shaped hole in my heart, thank you for asking, and after a few more trainers, we get the opportunity to capture a Shadow Magnemite. Can we catch it? We can! Magnemite almost takes out Wolfie with a Shadow Pulse in combination with Shadow Sky, and we're forced to switch into our Shadows to start tanking the hits a little bit better. With a few Dragon Breaths, we get it low enough that it finally gets into the ball. Further in, we flip tails on Murkrow and realize something really wacky about Beedrill. They made Beedrill have paper Fizdef. This game is a base of like 5 or 10? What? No shot. Let me check it out. They did. They literally made its defense 10. Its HP's 55. Bro, what kind of terrible Pokemon is this? We've been able to work down the shadow gauges of our Trico and Torchic and decide to purify them so we can evolve them and make their movesets and stats better. Back to the lab again. And on to Naps, who is the mini-boss of the Cipher Lab, and he has quite the scary team. At this point in the run, I was not looking up enemy teams, so my leads of Vaporeon and Combusken end up biting us in the butt, as Porygon traces Vaporeon's Storm Drain, making Vaporeon essentially useless. Naps has a Shadow Misdreavus, which the coin blesses us with the ability to catch, but this proves to be a huge problem for our team. Misdreavus has access to Shadow Scream, basically the Shadow version of Snarl, which when combined with its decent 91 base special attack stat, good chance to lower our own special attack, and the fact that it's super effective versus all of my non-Shadow Pokemon means that we have to buckle in if we want to add this thing to the team. He's got 5 Pokemon? I just checked. Oh wow, okay, we're kind of like in this battle right now, guys. Another thing to keep in mind that will happen very, very often in this game, with the sheer amount of Shadow Pokemon we'll be using, is that at any given moment, they have the chance to enter into Rage Mode.
I've contained my rage for as long as possible.
Rage Mode causes the Shadow Pokemon to damage itself at the end of every turn for 1/8 of its overall health. It takes an entire turn to snap a Pokemon out of Rage Mode and can only be done in battle, so it's always going to be a nuisance in long, drawn-out battles like this, where every single turn counts. Luckily, we're able to snag Misdreavus with a Great Ball we picked up in the lab, and get out of the Naps battle unscathed. Crane joins our party, we level to the cap, and try and make our way out of the lab, but are stopped by the first official boss fight of the run, Cipher admin Lovarina, who Stars decided to take some liberties with, fleshing out her dialogue. Oh my god, she's obnoxious. She just said amazeballs. Her Pokemon also have nicknames, unlike, well, literally every other trainer in the entire campaign. I think this makes for a really funny fight, as you don't know who's going to hit the field until they actually pop out of the Pokeball. And Mr. Tickles! We flip the Coin of Truth, which lands on Tails, and Clefairy slips through our fingers. Our only fairy resist against this fairy-type specialist is Magnemite, which just so happens to enter Rage Mode.
I am untethered and my rage knows no bounds!
Oh, bad timing, Magnemite, putting us into a really dangerous spot with our Hoenn starters having to carry home the rest of the fight. Hit this, baby, hit this, come on. Very cool. That's what Snubbull is right now. Snubble's just that red Pikmin. What? What do you mean, a Lumberry? Ice Fang? I'm really nervous about Mawile. I wonder if it has huge power. I really hope it doesn't, but it could totally just one-shot either of my Pokemon right now. The crit. Mr. Tickles, you did great, man. You did fantastic. Grovyle comes through with a Giga Drain crit on Snubbull, just as we were in serious danger of losing a Pokemon to Lovarina. That was Lovarina, guys. We did it. She's accomplished. With Crane saved, the SD card retrieved, and the purification chamber unlocked, we now have a way to passively purify our Pokemon in the background as we make our way through the rest of the campaign. Alright, quick math break before we move on though. Those of you who know me know I like numbers and spreadsheets, and the coin proved to be an interesting mechanic which I felt necessary to track, given how it treated us throughout the entire game. With 100% of our Pokemon HQ encounters being usable, 100% of our Get Port encounters being usable, and 9 out of 14 of the encounters in the Shadow Lab being usable, the coin currently sits at 12 out of 17, or around 71% of our total encounters being eligible during this portion of the run. Back to the game. We stock up the Purification Chamber and decide to purify Shroomish, Bagon, and Beedrill before continuing on with the story in Pyrite Town. I decide to keep Magnemite and Misdreavus as Shadow Pokemon, since their typing and abilities, in combination with them being Shadows, makes them great pivots to future opposing Shadow Pokemon. After a quick trip through Pyrite Town to ONBS, we drop off the SD card with Bit and Net. These former basement dwellers not only own the main news outlet in Ore, but also own the nicest looking building in Pyrite. Regardless of their entrepreneurial success and technological genius, they send me out to play with the town's former mayor Duking in the desert. This introduces us to Pokespots, which are the only places where a traditional wild battle can be fought in Ore. Since they're counted as separate areas and have been edited by stars to house dozens of wild Pokemon in XG, we decide that we'll be able to get a single encounter for each, without having to consult the coin on their eligibility. After traveling between the Rock Pokespot and the Oasis Pokespot, we make our way to the Cave Pokespot, where we face down the second boss of the game, Mirror B. This is the best Pokemon character of all time. Y'all are witnessing it in real time. Yes, Mirror B, like Coliseum, comes equipped with a platoon of Ludicolo, who love to spam high-powered spread moves and coverage while simultaneously boosting their power in Rain, annoying my team with Leech Seed, and restoring their HP with Rain Dish. That's a lot of Ludicolo. No way. Oh my god, the coin. Yes! Ludi's in chat! Let's go! Even though his Ludicolo are very scary, the AI doesn't seem to recognize that my Vaporeon has Storm Drain, which it uses to get consistent special attack boosts and to cancel out the surf spam that he's throwing my way. We snag the Shadow Ludicolo, increase the level cap, and say goodbye to the best Pokemon character of all time, only to return to ONBS, where Cipher has taken control of the whole operation. I definitely was unprepared for the difficulty spike at this point in the game, as plenty of the trainers are going to start having fully evolved Pokemon with better movesets. Our first battle with a Cipher Peon we run into. Whoa! Oh my god, what? Is it shiny? Oh, it's the Pelipper. So are we going to be able to catch the shiny Pelipper? We can. I didn't account for Seeking having knockoff, and in combination with a weak Shadow Wave from Pelipper and Rage Mode recoil, Misdreavus ends up getting killed. I try to spore Pelipper as Ludicolo misses its first ever Shadow Slap on Seadra. Perfect! Wait, is my Breloom dead too? Seadra takes advantage of the rain to outspeed my Breloom, killing it with a Sludge Bomb before it gets the chance to sleep anything. Hold on, I'm sorry. It's 85 accuracy. We kill Seadra and are able to snag the weird-looking, diseased Weather Setter at the cost of 2 of our Pokemon. What are you gonna do, guys? What are you gonna do? Before the next battle, I decide to purify Electrike, as Electrike is able to evolve into Manectric at level 26. We now have a fully evolved Pokemon that gets access to Volt Switch, Charge Beam, Heat Wave, and Hidden Power Ice. On top of this almost perfect moveset, Manectric has had its stats altered to have 110 special attack and 125 speed. This thing is cracked. We purchase some Pokesnacks to leave out for our Pokespot encounters, and head back to ONBS to test out our new Manectric lead. Manectric? What's a Manectric? I didn't, that's not what I meant. I'm sorry, Manectric. Nuzzle. Haha. We got rid of that move. Don't need it. Now where we're going. Where are we going? Citadark Isle. This battle proves to not be as difficult as the Rain one, and we make it out to discover that the Oasis Pokespot has a hit, and our encounter is currently munching on the Pokesnacks we left out. We leave Pyrite and head over to the spot where Chansey. Is this insanely good? If you know anything about Pokemon, you know that Chansey is far and away one of the most busted Pokemon of all time. With only one weakness and packing insane special bulk, it literally can invalidate almost every special attacker. It has Wish? Never mind. It's good. It's just good. The only problem is that in double battles, defensive play and stall strategies aren't nearly as effective as in singles, as instead of walling one Pokemon, most of the time you need to be able to wall two at the same time. Chansey has a pretty bad matchup versus physical attacking Pokemon, and if either of the two Pokemon across the field have access to strong physical moves, it basically invalidates Chansey's slot on a team. Chansey is a high-risk, high-reward Pokemon in the high-powered double-centric metagame of Ore. But of course, we catch it anyways, naming this...
Can I offer you a nice egg in this trying time? Yeah!
Our next encounter is at the Cave Pokespot, which ends up being a Golbat. Crobat's awesome. Crobat's really good. Okay, this time actually back to Pyrite Town and ONBS. We run into both a Shadow Nosepass and a Shadow Staryu on our way up to the roof, both of which land tails, meaning they are not eligible for snagging. On the roof, the coin gives us one, and we're able to catch a Shadow Sneasel, but not before having a scare with Ludicolo almost dying to an Anorith's Leech Life. Inside the rooftop room is Cipher Commander Exol, who has a full team of 6 and is easily the toughest battle of the run so far. We opt to level our team to the new cap of 29 and evolve Golbat into Crobat, teaching it Reflect to help it out even further on the physical side. We go into Exol leading with Manectric and Ludicolo against his Hitmonchan and Croconaw. A quick Shadow Slap Volt Switch combo puts us in a good position right from the get-go. Croconaw goes down and he sends in Kangaskhan before the next turn. Kangaskhan fakes out our Crobat and Ludicolo gets some moderate chip. Hitmonchan's targeting down Crobat with Bullet Punch, and Crobat finally gets the chance to set up a Reflect as Kangaskhan launches an Ice Punch in Crobat's direction. We send out Vaporeon to eat some hits, and decide to call Ludicolo out of Rage Mode to stop it from damaging itself every turn. Through a combination effort of Shadow Wave from Ludicolo and Protect on Vaporeon, we get good chip on both and bait both attacks one turn. The next turn, I switch out Vaporeon for Manectric and knock out both opposing mons with Shadow Wave. Ludicolo then decides to enter Rage Mode again.
I shall unleash my fury upon you like the crashing of 1,000 waves!
As both Granbull and Heracross hit the field. Our team is starting to look not so healthy, and Exol packs a number of really strong physical attackers with coverage moves that can eat away at my team. Our Reflect wears out this turn, but we're able to outspeed and land a Bubble Beam on Granbull, finishing it off. But then, Bullet Seed. Oh no. Does he have Skill Link? Does he have Skill Link? It was a crit? That's such horse. We would have lived. Oh, man. Oh, man, that's such garbage. And just like that, our bulkiest Pokemon, our starter, and a real anchor in our run so far, is gone for good, marking our 4th death in the run. The program. That was not huge for the program. Exol sends out Mawile, which the coin allows us to catch as a consolation prize for our suffering. We outspeed and kill Heracross with the coolest looking animation for Aerial Ace I've ever seen, and are able to snag Mawile no problem. Vaporeon, I'm so sorry that had to happen to you. Let's take another stats break real quick. In ONBS, the coin gave us 3 out of 6 encounters, delivering exactly as promised in this section, with a nice even 50-50 split. At this point, the level cap is increased to 37, allowing us to finally have fully evolved Hoenn starters before Snattle, and also giving me the courage to finally purify Magnemite that we can evolve into a Magneton, who we lovingly name Screwballs. Look at these things, there's just a bunch of Screwballs. Magneton was given access to Water Pulse and Hidden Power Fire, as well as access to Volt Switch pivoting just like our Manectric. It also has access to Levitate as an ability, meaning its only weaknesses are Fire and Fighting. Is that not enough? Magneton's stat spread was also changed from this to this. Yeah, in exchange for 5 points in its special defense, its HP was boosted a whole 20 points, and its special attack was boosted by 10. Remember how I said that Pokemon that evolve in future games are still able to utilize an Eviolite? I never said that, actually. I'm just now realizing as I'm writing the script that I didn't mention that. But oh yeah, that's right. This is probably the single most glue Pokemon I've ever had the pleasure of using in any Pokemon playthrough. This does it. This completes what will be known for the rest of the run as the Trinity: Manectric, Crobat, and Magneton. This may not seem like what most would consider to be a core on a Pokemon team, but 2 of the fastest mons in the game, access to Intimidate, access to Pivoting and Volt Switch, Crobat with Reflect and Roost, Manectric with near perfect type coverage, and Magneton as a defensive stalwart that can handle anything, especially after Intimidate and Reflect. Oh yeah, our team, despite a number of important losses in Vaporeon, Azumarill, Misdreavus, and Breloom, is looking really strong for this point in the game. We wrap up the night in Agate Village, prepared to storm the gates of Phoenix City to free them from Cipher. The next day, we make our way over to Phoenix. This lady's gonna come over to us. She's gonna be like, "Oh, hello, stranger. Go away. You are not allowed in this entire city, and me, a lonely businesswoman, is going to send you on your way to go gamble. I realize you're 10 and you trekked through a desert to get here, but you should get out of here." Oh, please. Like, sending me to a casino is going to distract me from saving all of the trapped people of Phoenix City. Like, they're literally being held in a basement and there's a giant political coup being staged. There's no way. Wait, what is Battle Bingo? What is this music? All right, we did it. This is not good. Are we just gonna die? I think we actually might just lose. No more EP for flipping panels. How do you get more EP? All right. I will not let Battle Bingo beat me like this. Nuzleaf, we're going back in. Yeah, so we get absolutely sidetracked within the first 10 minutes of the stream. I'm not sure if the premise of Battle Bingo is what got me hooked, or my desire to do something unique in my stream, but I kid you not, something deep within my being urged me on to keep playing. So we played Battle Bingo, and played, and played. Now, Battle Bingo is not a complete waste of time, as we earn Poke Coupons that can be used at Mount Battle to purchase some really good items like the Eviolite, Focus Sashes, Leftovers, and every single one of the choice items. In addition, we can use these coupons to reteach our Pokemon moves from the Move Reminder. Did I care about any of these benefits going into our bingo session? Not even a little bit. I was possessed by some type of bingo-crazed demon for over 4 hours. And then... oh no. We lost everything. Oh no! The last time I saved was last stream. We decide to finally make some legitimate progress this stream and go to Phoenix City to find the mayor. After we discover what has happened, we're ambushed by a Cipher peon with a Shadow Granbull, who we are unable to catch due to the all-powerful coin's intervention. Now that I'm thinking about it, between the ever-present risk of the coin and my newly developed obsession with Battle Bingo, I really may be becoming a bona fide Pokemon gambling addict. The next peon has a Shadow Magmar, who's generously gifted by the good grace of the coin. And after a bit of a dicey battle, we're able to snag it and exit the mayor's house. Now, you gotta understand that Bingo had taken a really big hold of me. And with the promise of a number of great items like the Eviolite and Leftovers, I decided that it was indeed a worthy investment of my time and go right back to wasting my life away in Bingo. A 5.5 hour stream with literally less than half an hour of which being battles. You'd think that my chat would want me to continue on with the game, but usually my chat was egging me on to go back and play Bingo. Anyways, we get through all the rounds of Bingo and earn a large chunk of Poke Coupons. I buy an Eviolite for Magneton and a set of Leftovers for Crobat, while also purchasing an ability capsule, which lets me change Manectric's ability from Lightning Rod to Intimidate, giving us a double Intimidate core. In the next stream, I purify Ludicolo and name it Samba after this wonderful emote. It's great, right? Well, it's basically my brand, so become a member of the channel and you can use it, okay? Making our way back to Phoenix City with our Battle Bingo boosted team, we enter the pre-gym and take on a Cipher peon with a Shadow Pidgeot. This thing is kind of insane with its access to Shadow Storm, basically a hurricane that's always super effective. This Pidgeot has access to No Guard, so it's always able to land these super effective hits on non-shadows, and as a higher level shadow, I immediately add it to the team, wanting to preserve my Hoenn starters until they hit their final form. Cipher peon Pam has a Shadow Pinsir, who we are excited to hopefully use, but are unable to catch due to the will of the coin. The battle goes fine with a close call on Manectric, but as it turns out, Intimidate is busted in double battles and lets us eat physical attacks way better than we used to. Bingo was worth it after all. Next up is Cipher Peon Greg, who has a Shadow Piloswine, who the coin also deems us unworthy to catch. Up to the Coliseum. We're presented with a Shadow Nuzleaf, which tails. Unable to use the Nuzleaf. That's 3 in a row, baby. Cipher Peon Emma has another Rain Team, with a Pelipper and a Manectric, and for some reason, I felt really comfortable staying in and trying to kill Manectric with Pidgeot. I was unable to use any electric-type moves since the opposing Manectric had Lightning Rod, but the main problem at this point, and what will become a staple of the run, is that my team has trouble dealing with strong special attackers. With a Fake-Out Shadow Fang combo, we're able to finish Manectric, but Scald does massive chunk of damage to our Mawile, who's facing down the barrel of this Shadow Hariyama, who, say it with me now, we're unable to catch due to the coin. 4 in a row we can't use. We scrape past and immediately are thrust into the next battle with a Cipher Peon, who has a Shadow Houndoom, who, come on baby. Alright, that's how it be. Yeah, we did not get very lucky in Phoenix City. Without an alive 6th member, and unable to heal our team between these fights, we find ourselves on the back foot the whole battle. Luckily, our Ludicolo decides to hold it down and gets a crit to seal away the battle with no more losses. The boss of this section of the game is Cipher Admin Snattle, but for some reason, I didn't realize that we would have to fight this guy right before him. I have to fight Barney? Oh shit, I have to fight Barney. This is Cipher Peon Barney, and he has 5 Pokemon and leads with 2 Shadow Pokemon right off the rip. As it turns out, the coin really likes Barney and allows us to catch both the Shadow Ampharos and Shadow Venusaur that he leads with. This proves problematic, as we only have 1 Shadow Pokemon in our party, being our level 29 Mawile. Keep in mind the cap at this point is 37, so it's fairly underleveled. Luckily, we catch both with no real issues, and with some smart pivoting and some Shadow Fear support from Mawile, which is the equivalent of Glare, we make it out of Barney unscathed. Now, it's time for Snattle, who comes packing a couple interesting Shadow Pokemon. Porygon 2 and Whack? Bro. Alolan Whack? Unfortunately, we're forced to put down the Shadow Marowak as we let Porygon 2 sit on the other side of the field, slowly dying to the Leech Seed we hit it with. Snattle sends out an Alolan Ninetales with Snow Warning, but the coin does not want us to have anything nice from Phoenix City, and we lose out on both of these encounters. This being the last encounter of the area, we ended up being eligible for 4 out of 12 of the Phoenix City Pokemon, or 1/3, a far cry below the 50% the coin promises. Anyways, a quick Blaze Kick destroys it no problem, and we make it past the Snattle battle. Snattle battle. This leads us on a side quest to the SS Libra, where because we drive a scooter and not the sick-ass Star Wars land speeder joint from Coliseum, we have to get a tire upgrade. Now, before we do that, we play a little bit more bingo for the fans and gear up for the second Chobin fight. In between bingo rounds, the spot monitor goes off and we're able to snag a Larvitar from the rock Pokespot, rounding out our Pokespot counters in a big way. Chobin must have known that I called him unimportant, because this time he does not mess around. After the first fight with some mid-level 30s, he decides to unleash his wrath. $50? That's right. Completely breaking the level cap progression is this here Robo Groudon, who fights our team in a 2v1. It's a pure Steel type and has access to a number of powerful spread moves in Earthquake, Heat Wave, and Discharge. And oh yeah, it has Groudon's base stats, so you already know it's going to be a problem. Luckily, with some Fake Out and Leech Seed support from Ludicolo, as well as Blaziken, who has access to Will-O-Wisp, we're able to slowly whittle down Robo Groudon with no serious issues. I have to say, if we didn't have the team we did and those support moves, I don't think we would have gotten past that battle without at least a couple deaths. Back to the SSN, we make our way through some puzzles and make it to the top of the boat where Cipher Admin Gorigan is waiting for us. Except, he's not going to fight us. Well, not yet anyway. The next boss is Cipher Peon Smarten, and wait, did I say Peon? Yeah, for whatever reason, this guy is essentially upgraded to that of a boss, and you have to fight him twice during the whole game, this being the first time you encounter him. His team is focused on one thing and one thing only: stall.
Stay down. Final warning.
I could do this all day.
He's got a Skarmory, an Eviolite Tangela, a Clefable, a Chansey, a Dusclops, and a Shadow Sableye, who, surprise, we can actually catch. Almost every single one of his Pokemon have leftovers, access to Protect, Leech Seed, and a million other ways to extend this battle into uncomfortable territory. I kid you not, this battle proved to be the absolute toughest in the run up to this point. The only Shadow Pokemon we have in our party at this point is Venusaur, which proves to be a real problem once Sableye hits the field. Sableye has access to Shadow Trip, which is essentially foul play, but always super effective on every Pokemon except Venusaur, who takes next to nothing. This also means that our Intimidates do nothing to Sableye, since Shadow Trip uses our own attack stat. In addition, Sableye also has access to Shadow Tease, which is basically Taunt, except it hits both of my Pokemon, meaning I'm unable to Shadow Sickness Clefable, putting it on a timer, and unable to Will-O-Wisp Sableye, as Clefable sets up a Calm Mind right in my face. In hindsight, it may have been a good idea just to kill Sableye and cut my losses, but having access to a Ghost type was something I haven't had since, Mischievous died. I decide to risk throwing an Ultra Ball to hopefully get Sableye off the field, which thankfully pays off. We get a Volt Switch off on Clefable, and are able to send Ludicolo in as the Clefable clicks Moonlight, and then a fat freaking Chansey comes on the field. Just as we're about to kill the Clefable, Venusaur misses a Shadow Whip and takes heavy damage from a Moonblast. Chansey wishes, and Clefable goes down to another Shadow Whip. Dusclops hits the field, and we get caught in a pretty heavy predicament. I've used heavy a lot of times. Pretty harsh predicament. How's that? Both Chansey and Dusclops have Seismic Toss, and together they do 69
Nice.
damage a turn guaranteed. The only one of my Pokemon in my party at this point who does not die to this combo attack is Ludicolo, who's been steadily getting his health back from Leech Seed I sicked on Chansey. Oh yeah, did I mention that Dusclops set up Trick Room? Something's gonna die. And knowing we have a Sceptile in the box, we decide that Venusaur is the LVP of the team. This battle was uncool, to say the least. This was the hardest battle in the entire game so far. Easily. And it's not even close. We're able to get out with only one Pokemon lost and make our way further in, where we find the little girl's missing Pokemon, which is a Bonsly. Unfortunately, we left our ringer on, and the sound of our PDA goes off, scares the little guy so much that he leaves the area entirely. My man got spooked by an email. That was me at work today. I was like, no, don't talk to me, please. We leave the ship, as there's nothing more to do here, and yeah, this is the part of the game where we get jumped by Team Snag'em, and they take our Snag Machine, meaning we're unable to catch any Shadow Pokemon we come across during the time without it. We're directed to the northeast, where we discover the Cipher Key Lair, and who else is there but the thug from the beginning of the game and the literal embodiment of the Chad meme, Zook. I mean, look at Zook compared to this meme. They look exactly the same, right? Zook puts down the two Snag'em grunts, but redirects his attention to us. Oh no, I have no Shadow Pokemon except for Venusaur. Let me run. Time to fight. This was not something I expected, and I didn't even get the chance to deposit Venusaur from the last series of events. Zook has 6 Pokemon and has all physical attackers. It's fortunate for us that we have 2 Intimidate users and a Crobat with Reflect. Despite having an alright level advantage, Zook proves to be a pretty tricky battle, especially considering we're down an entire Pokemon. A couple big hits on Manectric and Crobat, but no one ends up going down in this surprise battle, which I'm very happy with. We take a quick trip to Mount Battle to deposit Venusaur and pick up our new Shadow Sableye. Now, it's time for Mirror B at Outskirts Stand, the next big boss battle of the game. Mirror B has a Shadow Politoed, who the coin says we can capture, but unfortunately, that does not matter since we do not have our Snag Machine, meaning that this heads is entirely useless. In this game, for whatever reason, Ludicolo has access to Freeze Dry, giving our own Ludicolo an absolutely broken matchup versus Mirror B. The only problem is, the rest of our team does not do so hot versus Surf in the rain. For whatever reason, I decided to stay in with Sableye, who takes one more Surf than I thought it was going to, because one of Mirror B's Ludicolos hits ours with a Fake Out. Oh no, Sableye's dead. Oh no. Well, that was anticlimactic. Yeah, I think I may have been on autopilot, but Sableye was also responsible for having Smarten almost demolish us, so would it really have been a team player anyways? We go into the Outskirts Stand and talk with Toby, who tells us about the Shadow Togepi he stole from the Key Lair, and how he wants to give it to us. We then get an email from Sek, who lets us know that our Snag Machine is at the Snag'em hideout, and Toby points us in the right direction. And then, disaster. Got it. Oh no, not Willy, bro. I have a dead Sableye. No, I don't want to fight. Oh, I see. I hit yes. I was mashing. Okay. Sure. Linoons? Oh no. Yeah, I was not ready for this fight in the slightest, and Willy leads the two bulkiest evolutions in Vaporeon and Umbreon. We're looking to 2-tap Vaporeon with Charge Beam and start setting up from there, and after getting the boost with the first one, we'd be put in a really good position if the second one is able to finish off the next turn. Instead,
Thing on
this
that side of the
happens.
field.
Perfect. I'm so glad we missed that very critical Charge Beam to kill it. Now it's going to get all of its HP back, and it's going to click Scald, and Manectric's going to get hit and burned, because that's how Pokemon works. This is how Pokemon works, guys. You get burned on this turn. Yup. Told you. Exact. And if Manectric dies, I swear to God. Yeah, this puts us on the back foot for the rest of the battle, and we're forced to Volt Switch on Vaporeon to get Manectric out of there. We send in Blaziken on the Umbreon and eat a foul play as Willy sends in Jolteon. Later in the battle, as we're working down his Espeon and Jolteon's HP, tragedy strikes. Without Sableye, no one can comfortably take a Psyshock from Espeon except for Ludicolo, and a combination of a high roll Signal Beam and Psyshock is enough to take it down. Oh no! Lightning Rod! Ludicolo was a team staple, and its support with Fake Out and Leech Seed is going to be sorely missed going into the next section of the game. This all started because we missed a Charge Beam. Bro, and Sableye's not doing anything here. So now something else dies. Taking into consideration our team and what's going to be most helpful getting past the inevitable Flareon, we decide that Blaziken has to be the next Pokemon to go. This might seem crazy because it has access to Speed Boost and great coverage, but with insane, super effective moves everywhere and needing a turn to get going, it's been more of a revenge killer than a complete team member. Oh, our team's falling apart. Bro, this Sableye is mocking me from his grave. I'm not happy about him. The Trinity is able to clean up the rest of the battle, and we're forced to take inventory on our team, losing 2 seriously important team members and almost doubling our death box over the last 4 battles. Not our Ludicolo. I can't look at him. I can't look at him in the box. It's just going to make me sad. There's a severe lack of encounters through the next gauntlet of trainers, so I want to make sure my team is well prepared. And what's the best way to prepare my team, you might ask? Well, by buffing their movesets and items with some bingo battle, of course. Yeah, bingo battle. Round 4, we're taking no prisoners. Yeah, give me all those Poke coupons. That's right. I love bingo. At this point, I'm basically the bingo demon, and chat loves bingo. We're firing on all cylinders. We're flipping tiles. We're getting EP. We're catching legendaries. Things are absolutely wild in Battle Bingo. You guys, go check it out, Battle Bingo. Links in the description. Go watch the entire VOD. I swear Battle Bingo is like the best. Anyways, with our extra Poke coupons, we get ourselves an Eviolite for Magmar and get an Assault Vest from Manectric, as this shores up Manectric's bulk considerably in conjunction with Intimidate. Now, on to the Snag'em hideout, and this is literally the first thing that happens versus the first trainer. There's a story in the gambling simulator? No way. Hey, we actually get to, like, play now. That's pretty cool, right, guys? Totally fine lead. Competitive? Oh, uh-oh. It's at +4! In this part of the game, shadow Pokemon we haven't caught start coming back to haunt us. Ones that we've killed during battle are able to start showing up in enemy trainers' teams. This can be useful, as a majority of the time, they're at a significantly lower level than the rest of the enemy trainers' non-shadow Pokemon. Quick aside, completely unrelated to the rest of the video, this is my Magmar. I named it Guy Fieri. Guy Fieri. Hey, welcome to Flavor Town! Yo, look at the shirt. You know how Guy Fieri has that, like, flame shirt? They kind of look similar. They kind of share similar characteristics between Magmar and Guy Fieri. There's some talented artist in chat who I know wants to make that. And please do. Anyways, I was very excited to use this Magmar, since it can get the benefit from Eviolite. And of course, like any other Pokemon I'm excited to use, there it goes! R.I.P. Guy Fieri. I hardly knew you. Bro, I loved the Guy Fieri joke. I wasn't done using that bit yet. That makes double digits on the death counter before the next boss of the game, Team Snag'em's Gonzap. Wait, hold on. Prior to the Gonzap fight, we need to fight Waken? The Snag'em grunt who actually stole our Snag Machine. Huh. Waken has a Sun team, and our team has done historically bad versus fire types. He leads a Bayonet with Prankster to set the sun, and an Eviolite Gloom who's there to annoy. And after getting the Bayonet out of the way, he sends in... Oh no. Oh no, no, no. No. No, dude. If this Typhlosion has the set that I think it has, it could literally be game over for my team. This is the first time in the entire run that I check the docs. Waken was that much of a problem. Oh, I wish I brought Pelipper, bro. I was a naysayer on Pelipper, but this would be a really handy battle for Pelipper right now. This Typhlosion is doing massive damage with Lava Plume to everything on my team, and we are heavily on the back foot in this battle. Luckily, our Mighty Aina is able to 2-tap the Typhlosion with Sucker Punch as we heal up Crobat with Roost. I think Mighty Aina's dead. Yeah, sorry, Wolfie. I'm sorry, Wolfie. Mighty Aina died, so the run could continue. That's not the only fire type that Waken has, though, as he sends in a Shadow Houndoom that we missed out on in Phoenix City. We're able to 2-tap the Houndoom with Volt Switch from both Magneton and Manectric, as Linoon is able to finish off Gloom with a... What the f... Yeah. Linoon dies in this battle as well. Linus Tech Tips and Wolfie VGC died in the same battle. RIP to the GOATs. This is going to be problematic because we go straight into Gonzap without being able to swap our team around, meaning we're going into Gonzap 4v6. We're not even at the cap for this battle, which was totally not my intention. Luckily, for whatever reason, Gonzap proves to be significantly easier than Waken. And with a double Intimidate lead, Manectric boosting with Charge Beam, and frankly, a much better matchup on his team, we squeak by and get back our Snag Machine, finally allowing us to get more encounters. Oh yeah, Gonzap also had a Shadow Absol, Politoed, and now Absol. Despite being eligible by the coin's blessing, are unfortunately missed out on due to this section of the game and the lack of a Snag Machine. Now, if they come up later in the game on other trainers' teams, we'll be allowed to catch them at that point. But spoiler alert, that doesn't happen. We're running really low on good Pokemon going into the Cipher Key Lair. I mean, just look at this box. We decide we want to utilize our second Eviolite that used to be on Guy Fieri and evolve our Bagon into a Shelgon. It's such a weird Pokemon. He's like a basketball. Look at his model. He fills out the entire thing. Now, Shelgon's actually not bad in this game, as it was given a boost to almost all of its stats except for speed. And with an Eviolite, it actually has pretty sizable physical bulk. In addition, Crobat gets to learn Brave Bird at level 42, which I'll gladly take over Acrobatics, as it allows us to hold an item like Leftovers and can be offset by Roost's recovery. We return to the Key Lair with our restructured team and re-battle Zook, except this time, we're actually prepared for his barrage of physical threats, and finally flip for Zangoose, who the coin decides we're allowed to catch. And that's the last time we'll ever see Zook again. He said, "I had enough of battling you to last a lifetime." We battled 2 times. And you lost both. Quit being so dramatic. You're literally like in your 30s. His Zangoose has access to Shadow Strength and Shadow Hunter. Shadow Strength is basically Facade, but Shadow Hunter is incredibly cool. Shadow Hunter is a normal physical shadow move, except its added effect is that it's also super effective against opposing shadow Pokemon. Zangoose will not be the only Pokemon with access to this move, so essentially, the rules of the game are flipped on their head once we get to the Key Lair. We walk up to the guards and are joined by Gonzap and Waken, who... Wait, what's happening? This is not in the base game. For the first and only time in this game, we're put into a tag battle with Gonzap against these 2 bodybuilders. This is a 12v8 battle and really isn't too difficult, with Magneton being able to wall literally everything, but I was super impressed with the fact that Stars was able to implement a battle like this in the first place. Well done, well done. This was very cool. I was pleasantly surprised, definitely. Waken's unbelievably tanky Gloom then puts these 2 to sleep, and we're able to make our way into the Key Lair for the second largest dungeon in the game. The first shadow we encounter is Gengar, who would be a great addition to the team to replace Misdreavus and Sableye, and yo, we can't catch it. Yeah, thanks, Coin. Rip my dreams! This trainer also has a Shadow Electabuzz, who, yep, it's 50-50 odds, guys. Y'all, in the beginning of the game, y'all were like, this is rigged. Moving along, we run into a Shadow Hitmonlee and a Lapras. This is for Hitmonlee. This is for Lapras. Okay. All right. We get Lapras. That's, you know what? We needed another water type. This particular battle was a little rough, as Shadow Sky and high-powered Shadow Chills coming from Lapras were able to damage my team considerably. Before coming here, I picked up a few netballs from Outskirts Stand, which have a significantly increased chance to allow us to catch water types, and we make it out of the battle no problem. Working my way upstairs, I run into a Cipher Peon who... You say I have a unique Shadow Pokemon that can explode? Is that what he just said? Yeah, this trainer was also no joke, and his Shadow Weezing is a constant threat of decimating my team with a Shadow Boom. For whatever reason, the AI prioritizes Shadow Guard over literally every single other move. Despite having access to Shadow Boom, it never decides to pull the trigger, and we get out of a potentially very scary battle with little issue. And then, Shadow Armor? Yeah, so remember when I said that the rules of the game were flipped on their head with the Key Lair? I really meant it. There were a few custom items that Stars added that interact directly with Shadow moves and Shadow Pokemon, and they add an entirely new dimension to our team building and strategy. Aura Filter. The wearer takes half damage from Shadow Pokemon. I decide to give the Aura Filter to Crobat, as we're almost always leading with it, and being able to take strong super effective hits is pivotal in making real progress in this game. SM01? An SM? It's a Shadow TM? I'm sorry. And non-Shadow Pokemon can learn it? Yeah, I think Stars just took the rulebook and threw it out the window in the Key Lair. The next trainer has a Shadow Ursaring, and we flip for it, and... Bro. I can't. The only encounters we've been able to get at the Key Lair so far have been Zangoose and Lapras. Bayonet hits the field. Tell me I get the Bayonet and not the Ursaring. Okay, fine. At this point, my game crashes for no reason. Oh no! Deleting the last 2 hours of progress. I decide to catch up with my progress off stream and return to the battle with the Peon, not expecting him to have a third Shadow Pokemon in Nidoqueen, who we're also able to catch. Alright, coin's starting to come around a little bit for us. Bayonet refuses to get in the ball, and our team is being pelted by Shadow moves, one after the other. We're not too healthy, and I really want to be able to get some new, high-level Shadow Pokemon. Unfortunately, I'm unable to throw 2 balls at once during a turn, so even if one Pokemon gets caught, the other can still target us down with a powerful attack. Bayonet decides to be a real dick, and still refuses to get in the ball even at less than 5% HP. So capped because we caught it last time! I'm so not happy. In an effort to preserve Zangoose and trying to make it out of the battle with no deaths, I risk one more Ultra Ball and go to Wood Eater to hopefully take a single move. Both Nidoqueen and Bayonet target down my Zangoose since they see their moves killing, and Sceptile goes down unceremoniously. Yeah, the first time we fought this battle, we were doing significantly better, but due to some RNG and a different set of leads from this Cipher Peon, the battle resulted in another loss for our team. At this point, we leave the Key Lair, and we decide to get the Shadow Togepi that Toby has, as Togetic has been buffed stat-wise and is able to utilize the Eviolite in this game. We flip to be able to use it, and no, I wasn't worried. I'm incredibly excited to be able to use this Togetic, as we've been sorely missing a good Fairy type, and its excellent bulk with Eviolite and high special attack. This is an absolutely insane Pokemon. Continuing through the Key Lair, this next set of trainers are going to all have weather teams. Kim is the first trainer who has a Hail team and a Shadow Cloyster, Glalie, and Walrein. We flip tails on both Cloyster and Glalie, but Walrein... Okay, alright. Of the three, I think Walrein is probably the best thing we could have asked for. Next up is a Shadow Dusclops who, yes, we can catch. And also a Shadow Armaldo, who we can catch as well. Luck is finally turning around. These battles are all types of crazy, with each one taking me upwards of 15 to 20 minutes just to complete. I'm not going to break down every little detail of a battle where none of our Pokemon are lost, but for reference, this is what my team looked like after the battle with the Dusclops trainer. Shadow Rhydon is another Shadow who the coin blesses us with, but Charizard slips through our fingers. Oh wait, I can't catch Zard! I'm going to have to just release it. I'm gonna have to just release it. I forgot. That's so funny. I could have killed it. I could have just killed it with Waterfall. We'll pretend I killed it with Waterfall. Charizard, you get to sit by yourself in the middle of box 4. Congratulations. The next trainer also has 3 Shadow Pokemon, Heracross, Exploud, and Gardevoir, of which only Heracross is eligible. This is where we discover the existence of another move that absolutely flips the balance of the game on its head. Shadow Slayer. Shadow Slayer. What is this going to do? What? Shadow Slayer is a special version of Shadow Hunter and is able to hit everything I have super effectively. Our team handles physical threats really well, but we don't exactly have the means to deal with powerful special attackers. Shadow Slayer is one of the most common moves on Shadows from this point forward, and forces us to play even more carefully. Our box is starting to round out, and with a decent string of encounters, we add the newly caught Rhydon to the team and get into a battle with Cipher, Peon, Steve. Steve, like the previous few trainers, has a full team of 6 Pokemon, and leads with a Slowbro and Arcanine. The Arcanine is Shadow, and thankfully... Yes! You guys know how much I love Arcanine. Let's go! We barely miss out on a Slowbro kill with Volt Switch, and swap into Rhydon as we eat a Shadow Blaze with Crobat. All of a sudden, Trick Room. I'm forced to double out as Rhydon is in danger of a Scald, and Crobat can't hit either of the Pokemon for big damage. Magneton comes in and takes a big hit, and Scald is able to chunk Bayonet and burn.
Super hot fire.
Also, this Slowbro's packing Flamethrower, and hits Magneton for a pretty huge chunk of damage before we're able to finish it off with another Volt Switch. Don't have another Water type. I'm going into Rhydon here. No! This team is a huge problem for us. We don't have a single water resist on our side of the field, and Arcanine keeps launching super effective Shadow moves our way as well. We're able to swap to Crobat for another Intimidate, as Bayonet Shadow Madnesses and cuts Arcanine's HP in half. I'm gonna go Togetic, and everything will be fine. Combined with Arcanine being paralyzed, this makes me confident that Arcanine can sit on the field paralyzed and at -3 attack with a Reflect Up, and that everything will be fine. We double into Manectric and Togetic, putting Arcanine at -4 and Azumarill at -2, while Togetic? What? Togetic? How do you guys pronounce it? This Arcanine, who's paralyzed, at -4 attack and ready to be caught, does the only thing it can do to really hurt my feelings. You're kidding me! And it lives on 1 again? As we go for a Charge Beam boost to kill Azumarill, Steve decides to make a huge brain play and swaps to Ampharos, taking next to no damage. Manectric takes a heavy hit, and I take stock of my team. Look at my team! Wait, okay. Timeout. My team is in shambles right this second. We're in very real danger of losing the run outright, and not even to a boss trainer, but to a random Cipher peon named Steve with an insane Trick Room team. I'm tired of this Arcanine constantly ruining my life, so I throw a ball, and unfortunately we're not able to catch it, as it finally gets paralyzed once in like 7 turns. Azumarill hits the field again, and nobody in my party is healthy enough to be able to take a liquidation. I decide to play it super safe and Shadow Guard, expecting a potential Aqua Jet, killing Azumarill with an HP Ice since it leaves Tempest on the field and is 100% accurate, unlike both Heat Wave and Charge Beam. Manectric is forced to eat another Shadow Blaze, and Steve sends out his ace, Shadow Aggron. I Ultra Ball Arcanine and Volt Switch Aggron, finally getting the dog off the field and chipping Aggron for massive amounts of damage. This gives us an in into our other Shadow Pokemon. But, as we've discussed, the rules have been completely flipped on their head in the Key Lair, and Aggron goes for Shadow Hunter, doing absolutely insane damage to Rhydon, who's even holding a Shadow Armor, which supposedly boosts my defense by 50%. Shadow Machamp hits the field, and of course, we're unable to catch this one as well. We very fortunately dodge a Shadow Hunter, and Bayonet is able to chop Machamp's health in half with Shadow Madness. There is no world we get any of our Pokemon in. We're playing to save the core of our team right now. If these two Pokemon go down, that's just how it has to be. I Shadow Madness Machamp again since it does the most damage, and Shadow Guard with Rhydon. Rhydon misses the double guard and gets hit by a critical hit Shadow Hunter and goes down. I go to Tempest to be able to hit a Heat Wave. If we miss either of these two Pokemon with a 95% accurate Heat Wave, something dies. If I want to save Bayonet, I think I have to go into one of these two Pokemon. This is a calculated risk. This was the closest we came to wiping in this run so far. First Smarten, then Waken, and now Steve.
My God, I have newfound respect for the one called Steve.
That battle proved to me that this game is not going to take any prisoners. We're forced to restructure our team yet again and decide that it's time to finally cash in for our Salamence. One of the abilities that Salamence can have in this game is Aerolate, which is absolutely massive, and gives us access to a number of high-power attacks in Flying-type Body Slam, Hyper Voice, and Return. Unfortunately, we don't have enough Pokecoupons to be able to afford another ability capsule. The only option for us is to play some bingo. Bingo time, baby. Bingo time. Yo, get hype in chat for bingo. The bingo demon inside me comes back with full force, and we spend the next 2 hours grinding Pokecoupons to be able to afford more ability capsules. Intimidate is a great ability, but Manectric, Crobat, and Arcanine all have access to it already, giving me the ability to let Mence have something else without feeling like I'm missing out on that important support. After some prep, we get to the second battle with Cipher Key on Smarten, the next boss trainer in our run. Yeah, Steve was not considered a boss trainer. Go figure. Smarten leads with a Shadow Fortress, which we're unable to catch, which breaks my heart since many of you know I love this thing to pieces, and eventually sends out a Cradilly, who we're also unable to catch. However, he has a Shadow Muck that we are able to catch, so it weighs out, I guess. Not really at all. Nope, not happy. Smarten proves to be much less of an issue than he was the first time, due to our team's power level having increased substantially. Gorigan is the boss of the Cipher Key Lair and is the next big hurdle for us. Due to being unable to catch a few of the higher level shadows, we go in there with the Trinity, Salamence, Shadow Dusclops, and Shadow Arcanine. Gorigan has a pretty insane sand team, and a number of shadow Pokemon I really want to add to my team. He leads a Sandslash and a Shadow Steelix, who can't use it, of course not. Why would I get a Steel type? Sandslash immediately knocks off the Aura Filter on my Crobat. And like Aggron, Steelix has access to Shadow Hunter, meaning that we have next to nothing that deals with Steelix handily, besides Water Pulse on Magneton. I decide it's more important to get rid of Sandslash, who could permanently cripple my team for the rest of the battle with Knockoff. Aerodactyl comes in, targets down Crobat with a Fire Fang for some reason, and Gorigan decides to withdraw his Steelix for the end of the fight and sends in Cacturne, who has the ability to eat water moves with its grass typing. Arcanine comes in, intimidates both of them, and hits Aerodactyl with a Shadow Speed, finishing it off. Magneton also gets a crit Hidden Power Fire on Cacturne, clearing the field. Are we able to use the Shadow Claydol that comes in? Nope, can't use Claydol. And what? And we can't use Regirock. Oh no! That's right, just like Snattle, we are unable to catch any of this boss's shadow Pokemon. Overall, throughout the Cipher Key Lair, we were only eligible to catch 10 out of 27 encounters, or 37%, a far cry from the supposed 50% we should be able to get. It's not always about the amount of encounters we get either, as the overall quality of encounters has been low too. For instance, would you rather have a Muck and a Bayonet, or a Regirock and Gengar? For most, it's pretty clear we've been getting shafted by the coin. Gorigan is definitely a tough battle, but we're able to miraculously get by, despite a number of close calls. There's only one dungeon left in the entire game, which is Citadark Isle. In order to get to Citadark Isle, however, we're forced to return to Dr. Kamenko's manor, where, you guessed it, we have to fight Chobin. Again. You know, Chobin, The guy with the overleveled Robo-Groudon? What level is this thing gonna be? Oh no! We don't have a Ludicolo to stall it out with Leech Seed this time though, so we need to fight it straight up. Even a super effective Hidden Power Fire does a super small chunk of damage. My immediate thought is to try to hax it out with a Confusion from Water Pulse, which we don't get the first time. Groudon goes for Heat Wave, doing huge damage to both Heracross and Magneton, and burning Magneton, meaning that now 3 of my Pokemon are underneath half health. We send in Manectric to eat the next one, and resign our Shadow Heracross to its fate, trying to get some chip damage with a Shadow combo before it dies to Heat Wave. Manectric gets some decent damage off with its own Heat Wave, and Salamence protects to take no damage from the discharge. Another Heat Wave and a Stomping Tantrum later, and the overleveled Robo-Groudon finally falls. I'm totally okay with that death. It's not any of our main 3 or Ments. We activate the ability to ride Robo-Kyogre over to Citadark Isle and stop back into the Pokemon HQ where Crane gifts us the Master Ball and 10 Shade Balls, I'm sorry. Immediately, we check out the outskirts stand to check if they sell more of these Shade Balls, but unfortunately, I guess they're in limited supply. It's time for the final dungeon in the game, Citadark Isle. Upon reaching the island, the first trainer we fight is Navigator Arc, with a Shadow Wailord who has access to Drizzle. Yet, weather teams are super common in this game, and my team at this stage still really doesn't have any great answers to Water-type Pokemon. Unable to catch the Shadow Wailord, we attempt to kill it with a Volt Switch, but it opts to Shadow Guard. Instead, letting Golduck get off a nasty Hydro Pump onto Manectric, doing slightly over half health to us. This means that the only move that can possibly kill Manectric next turn is another rain-boosted Stab Hydro Pump. I guess I go Mence on the Hydro, inevitably. And I'm going to go for Shadow Crush on Golduck and hope that it's enough. If he goes for Ice Beam, he's the realist. I'm going to Protect next turn no matter what. Am I playing What? What do you mean? We got to use Salamence in all of 3 battles. We got more use out of it as an Eviolite Shelgon, and even as a Bagon back in the Cipher Lab days. That didn't make any goddamn sense at all. This battle caught me super duper off guard, and heavy hitting water types like Starmie, Lantern, and Golduck all combined to give me a ridiculously tough time. Arc sends out Gyarados, who is also a Shadow Pokemon, and to my complete and utter shock, the coin shows us some mercy and allows us to catch it. Heads. We can use a Gyarados? That was the first battle on Citadark Isle. And we lost our Salamence. That Golduck cheated. Citadark Isle has a ton of battles, and if I went in depth into each one, this script would be over 2 hours long. So we're going to do a little creative writing to summarize all that happened before Lovarina. What? We're already taking breaks to talk about stats. This is a much needed shakeup for me, guys. The young crow reemerges under the majesty of the moon's power. A king, to complement our queen, hunts those who stand in his way. An ally to the ravenous king, the moon eclipses our polluted tide. Tragedy strikes, and the melodies of battle begin to scream endlessly. Set back in our quest, a dragon's tears once again masked by rain. We press on, the king subjugated and the bones of his kingdom buried. A beautiful serpent, jealous of our conquest, kills the uncrowned king out of spite, as the slow-witted jester watches on, erroneously ignored. An intermission required. Our tired army longs to rest, retreating to the mainland and forced to rebuild what is lost. Swallowed by the forest, a lush relic nourishes the hearts of those closed off. A soul purified and steeled for combat, ready to enter the fray. The dark ocean lashes out, uninviting of our impending ascent. With roaring sands and scales inflamed, destiny once again beckons. The golden Trinity remains, strengthened by the voices of their fallen allies. Our army thrust back into war, with no choice but to rebel against the grim future. Yeah, Nidoking and Muck died. We caught a Milotic, and we accidentally didn't catch Libra. Now on to Cipher Admin Lovarina. Lovarina's team of nickname Pokemon proved to be a huge problem for us. Luckily, she leads with 2 physical attackers who get double intimidated and beaten down by our coverage moves. Lovarina sends out a Shadow Mr. Mime, who lands Tails, to no one's surprise, but gets to set up a Shadow Sky, making our team take 1/8 of their HP in damage at the end of every single turn. Shadow Altaria hits the field as well, who we flip for and are eligible to catch. Mr. Mime has access to Shadow Madness, and combined with the Shadow Sky boosted power of Shadow Storm, our Milotic is put into a really bad spot on its first switch in. This is the only Shadow Pokemon we have on our team at the moment, so now nothing switches in safely to a Shadow Storm. Oh, did I say switches in? Yeah, I don't know why I thought that Mawile would be able to outspeed Altaria and kill the Gardevoir, but Altaria is able to kill it outright with Shadow Storm. No way! RIP Shoddy. We send in Tyranitar to reset the Shadow Sky with our sand and eat an energy ball from Gardevoir. No! No! Oh, we're dodging, baby. Let's go. Easy money. Now, I'll be honest. I totally forgot that the special defense boosting power of Sandstorm was put into Pokemon in Generation 4. And despite having mechanics up until Gen 7, it seems like the boost is not here. Gardevoir ends up dying to the Sandstorm chip, and Azumarill hits the field. I send in Manectric to lower Altaria's attack, and to hopefully take a special hit from it, a little bit better than Crobat can. But as it turns out, this Azumarill is banded, and does enough damage to us where we have no Pokemon that can take a single Shadow Storm. Altaria hits another one on Magneton, confusing it, and we miss out on the Thunderbolt kill on Azumarill due to us hitting ourselves. We're in very clear danger of losing the run, as a single Aqua Jet cleans up everything on my team with no issue, and with Sandstorm up, Crobat can't be in at the end of a turn without dying. I decide to throw a Shade Ball at Altaria, because apparently a Shade Ball is ×5 the catch rate on Shadow Pokemon, and it's a lie! The Shade Ball is a lie! In order to get out of the battle, I have to use the Master Ball on Altaria to prevent it from killing any more of my Pokemon. I send in Manectric to get another Intimidate off on Azumarill, and then swap it out for Tyranitar, hoping to eat an Aqua Jet at -2. Altaria caught, we're able to Thunderbolt Azumarill down, and to end the battle. This was the closest we've come to wiping. Look at my team. We deposit Milotic and Mawile, and once again need to restructure our team to get through the next massive gauntlet of trainers. We decide it's time to add Blissey to the squad, and after getting absolutely throttled by special attacks in the Lovarina fight, I was tired of not having an answer to them. Underneath the island in the Whirlpool generator, the coin pours some more salt in the wound, by making us ineligible for Shadow Blastoise and Shadow Hitmonchan, but it allows us to catch a Shadow Mantine. I'm actually okay with this, as Mantine's pretty solid defensively, and having a specially defensive water type helps our team deal with the special fire types. The next stretch of trainers don't give us many problems. Finally, we make it to an elevator and run into Cipher Peon Grace. Yeah, you guys should know by now if I stop on a Cipher Peon and I give them a name, there's bound to be some trouble. She sends out a Muck and a Shadow Cacturn, who the coin deems us worthy to catch. Now, if I had foresight, I would have killed this Shadow Cacturn on the spot if I knew what it was planning to do to me. This battle should not have been difficult at all, but Muck lands a lucky Ice Punch freeze on my Crobat. All's fine, we're slowly whittling down her team. Muck goes down, Clefable goes down, Sharpedo goes down, until finally she's down to her last 2 Pokemon in Cacturn and Meganium. Cacturn is at -1 attack. The plan is to Volt Switch with my Manectric to kill Meganium and send in Crobat to lower it to -2 attack. Instead, this happens. Wait, what? What? Wait. What just happened? We weren't at -speed. There's no Trick Room. I'm trying to figure out what happened there. That is heartbreaking. That was pretty foolproof. The Trinity has been broken. I am in shambles. We're able to catch Cacturn and end the battle, losing one of the most important Pokemon in our team to incredibly odd circumstances. It does have Sand Rush. No! Okay, but even if it has Sand Rush, it's 84 base speed. Sand Rush multiplies it by 2, which is 168. So that's 168 speed. We have 175. So we still should have outsped. I'm going to have to rewatch that entire battle. That's the Trinity being broken. That's hard. This thing got us through essentially the entire game, guys. Determined to find out the cause of this, I take to the damage calculator and the Pokémon XG Discord, trying to find an answer to this strange series of events. I spent about an hour learning about Shadow Pokemon that night. I eventually figured out what happened here. And guys, it's really weird. I had to do some research, I did some digging, I ran some calcs, I checked this thing's IVs. I figured out if there are any EVs on enemy trainers, if they are perfect IVs, and then all of a sudden they're transferred back to a random set of IVs as soon as we, being the main character, catch the Pokemon. But as it turns out, this hack turn outsped us because of something completely different. And I'd also like to take a moment to apologize because somebody said in chat that Shadow Pokemon have a 50% speed boost when used by an enemy trainer. That actually was taken out by this developer. However, Shadow Boost is a very real thing. When you go to catch a Shadow Pokemon, there is a plus sign next to that Pokemon's level. Now, what does that plus sign mean? Well, in Vanilla XD, it means that the Pokemon can be anywhere from 1 to 3 levels higher than it appears. So, Cacturn, being level 54 now, technically could have had the stats of a level 57 Cacturn, meaning that its speed stat would be high enough that it would, in fact, when doubled, outpace my Manectric. That's Vanilla XD. 1 to 3 levels of stats above what they currently appear as. However, in Pokemon XG, that's thrown out the window. As it turns out, this Cacturn, when used by the enemy trainer, has the stats of a level 60 Cacturn, plus 6 levels. Hence, it was able to outspeed us at times 2. And this lack of this very minor bit of knowledge on how Shadow Pokemon work and how the Shadow Boost factor was changed in XG is what got our Manectric killed. And that was after a night of research. I was in the XG hacking Discord. I was like, but this, and go watch the VOD. And it's at 5:02:30. You know, I'm like trying to nerd out, you know, in this Discord, trying to figure out what the hell happened to my Manectric, because I'm pissed, because I'm like, that thing should not be dead. If Cacturn wasn't a naive nature, we still would have outsped even in the sand and with the Shadow Boost. Once again, we're faced with the long stretch of trainers in Citadark. We miss out on a Shadow Crawdaunt due to the coin's just clear hatred of me. And then in the next battle, Arcanine does get CC, but like, I don't think I've ever seen anybody use CC in this game, so I'm inclined to believe it doesn't exist. Yeah. Our second pseudo-legendary of the run goes down to an Arcanine. What is up with us and losing Pokemon to Arcanine? Our box is looking rough around the edges now. The quality of our live Pokemon really does not compare to the quality of our dead Pokemon. After a bit of prep, we face down the dual threat of Cipher Peons Malik and Abdul. Abdul's up first. He's got a Shadow Shuckle who I'm really looking forward to, and of course we can't use it. Shuckle sets up a Shadow Sky, which doesn't affect Pokemon with an Aura Filter, which both Arcanine and Crobat have, so we're able to take down Tauros no problem. As it turns out, Shuckle also has access to Shadow Trip, which as a reminder, uses my own attack stat instead of its, letting it actually be an offensive presence. After taking out the Medicham and getting hit with Shadow Trip, Crobat is not looking too healthy, so we swap out for Magneton. Abdul realizes Shuckle's useless here and swaps out Shuckle for Houndoom, and we're able to take out Lapras with a Volt Switch. Then he sends in Metagross, who also happens to be a Shadow Pokemon. Oh, come on. Come on. We've flipped tails so many times. Yeah, we spent about an hour getting Cacturne the correct moveset and ability for the rest of the run, and it died in the first battle we used it. Such is life. With just the Shadow Pokemon left, we finish off Metagross easily and kill Shuckle with little resistance. Next up is Malik, and we don't get a chance to edit our party or heal. This means that we're going into this fight with a 5v6 and a worn down team. We end up flipping heads on Shadow Jinx, but Abdul is not kind to us. Jinx goes for a Shadow Freeze on Arcanine, and for some reason, Salamence goes for a Flamethrower on the Crobat slot, who I swapped out for Magneton, which gets hit super effectively. Jinx also has access to Shadow Scream, which is able to lower our special attack on Altaria as it switches in to take the second Flamethrower. Lucky for us, Arcanine does not get its special attack lowered, and I'm able to thaw out and Flamethrower to kill Jinx. That's fine. Actually don't care even a little bit. Yes, kill Jinx. It was that dire of a situation that I was willing to do whatever it took to get it off the field. Ampharos is really where our problems begin. We finish Salamence off, but Grandel hits the field, and we need to get rid of it as soon as possible to be able to preserve Altaria for the following Shadow Pokemon. I send in Magneton to maybe eat a Play Rough, and Arcanine gets doubled down with Thunderbolt and Crunch. Arcanine, of course, gets paralyzed from this, setting us back in the battle majorly. On the next turn, Arcanine gets fully paralyzed, leaving it unable to get off a Morning Sun to heal itself up. And of course, this is just the perfect turn for Altaria to go into Rage Mode to start hitting itself for an eighth of its health, right? And then Gengar comes in. Oh my god, the Poison type. That was the worst thing he could have sent out. Look at my team. I went into the battle like this. Magneton oh my god, everything's went wrong this battle. One wrong move here and we wipe. If Gengar Sludge Bombs Altaria, we lose 2 Pokemon and we wipe. I spend a long time contemplating my next move, knowing that this one turn could decide the fate of the run. Screwballs may take a T-Bolt and a Shadow Ball, but it dies to the Shadow Sky afterward. But it probably won't take T-Bolt if Altaria kills Amphi. I forgot about Shadow Tag. Now the situation is different. Now Cast Iron's dead. Period. We're now forced to target down Gengar with the Shadow Storm, as Gengar is preventing us from switching out in any capacity, and... Alright. We get hit with Reverse Mode, please kill. You have a Focus Sash?! You Oh my god. Come on! Arcanine dies, and Altaria finishes itself off with its own Rage Mode. After some calcs, I decide that our only play is to Roost with Crobat and to Light Screen with Magneton, allowing Crobat to barely outpace the damage done from both Gengar and Ampharos. Don't flinch. Don't flinch. Nice. Don't T-Bolt me. That's with Light Screen up. Don't para. Oh. We ran probably like 10 different calcs during this onslaught of a battle, and knew that if Crobat got paralyzed by the next T-Bolt, we wiped. Shadow Scizor. Finally, a good Pokemon that comes up heads. I need this type of power for my team. I'm able to guarantee a kill on Ampharos with Poison Jab, and have to click Hurricane as it's the best way to lower Scizor's HP without killing it outright. But then, it was a crit, and we don't even get to use Scizor. Further into Citadark, we lose our Armaldo to a trainer with a Shadow Blissey, who we miss out on because of Dupe's Claws, and also miss out on the Shadow Xatu that comes next. The last trainer before Snattle has a Shadow Golem that we snag, and now it's time for the final boss rush of the game. Snattle, Ardos, Gorigan, and Eldace, essentially the Elite Four of the game, are all extremely tough trainers in their own right. We end stream off for the night, knowing that it's going to take a lot of prep to get through this last leg of the game. And for the first time since starting this game, I decide enough is enough, and I start to look at the trainer teams and the documentation. I am tired of losing to nonsense and want my team to be as ready as possible. Snattle has a Trick Room Hail hybrid of a team. We're deemed unworthy by the coin to catch Articuno, but we're able to set up a light screen and start toxicking his Pokemon, taking care not to let any miscellaneous freeze dries come our way. Now, I still don't know exactly what went downhill this battle, since with all of the altered speed tiers, and a small detail I wasn't aware of, there were a number of plays that made me question what I believed in. Dusclops died to a critical hit Bone Club from Marowak, and Pelipper ends up going down to some Trick Room shenanigans, combined with the fact that Shadow Analysis is apparently -1 priority, which I did not know. Regardless, Snattle also has a Regice, who we're given the green light to catch by the coin. Easy clap. Actually, we might be able to catch this thing. Oh, that's good. That's great. No, perfect. I'm so happy. I love Regice, and it has access to Snow Warning, giving us another weather setter in our time of need. Next up is Ardos, who we designed a pretty crafty team for. Ardos' whole gameplay is based around the rain and drawing electric attacks away from his threats. He has 3 Shadow Pokemon, Lantern, Kingdra, and Zapdos. Naturally, the coin gives us the go-ahead on Lantern. Yeah, no Kingdra, no Zapdos, Lantern. Yeah, of course. He leads 2 of these Shadow Pokemon in Lantern and Kingdra, and both of them have access to Shadow Slayer, hitting Regice for heavy damage as we get up a light screen. We send out Blissey in place of Regice and casually chuck a netball at Lantern, snagging it instantly and dodging the next Shadow Slayer. Manectric comes in, and we know that its choice spec'd up. Manectric Volt switches on Magneton as Blissey wishes to hopefully get Regice in clean. Kingdra hits a massive Shadow Burst on Magneton, which is essentially a Draco Meteor, and dies then afterward to Hail. Now, one thing I forgot to take into account was the fact that Wish still maintains its properties from Gen 3, meaning Regice does not get healed up to full once it comes back in to hopefully deal with Zapdos. Metagross has both Meteor Mash and Bullet Punch. We swap in Mantine to eat either one of those on the Regice slot. We eat a Shadow Storm with Golem and get off a Stomping Tantrum on the Metagross to do half damage. At this point, the light screen wears off and the hail stops, opening our team up to Zapdos' wrath. Zapdos Shadow switches on Ampharos, sending in Manectric, who dodges a Shadow Madness, and Metagross clicks a Zen Headbutt on Ampharos, killing it outright. This loss was unexpected, but shouldn't hurt our team that much in the long run. And on top of that, Ampharos even gets a static proc on Metagross on the way out. Things are going very well, and watching this battle back, I'm not sure at all how things spiraled out of control the way they did. Wailord hits the field, and I think this is where everything actually started to fall apart. I forgot to put Toxic on Blissey, which is going to make this Wailord an absolute nightmare to handle. In addition, I forgot to change my Mantine's ability to Water Absorb, making it unable to eat the Scalds that Wailord is sending my way. All of my Pokemon are outsped by his Manectric, Zapdos, and Wailord, and I think that in order to make it out of the battle, I need to get a light screen up with Magneton. I go for Wish, and I swap in Mantine for Regice and Magneton for Blissey, hoping to get healed with Wish at the end of the turn. And Shadow Bolt on... Yeah, down goes Magneton. I was almost positive that Zapdos would not target down the Blissey slot over the Regice slot, but it did. And because of that, we now have a very difficult path out of the battle. Blissey comes in next turn, then gets hit with a Shadow Storm, confusing it, making it unable to get off a Seismic Toss, and leaving more HP on Wailord. The next turn, Zapdos goes for a Shadow Switch on Mantine, right back into Manectric. Mantine then misses a Shadow Madness, which would have taken down Zapdos, or Manectric's HP by half. Mantine then dies. Ampharos and Magneton are already dead, and I'm forced to go into Golem to bait a Scald on its slot. Blissey continues to take damage from Manectric and hits itself again in its confusion. Then, Wailord gets a burn on Regice, putting it within range to be killed off by the next attack. Regice goes down, and Golem is forced to hit the field. Golem eats the next Shadow Storm from Zapdos as Blissey hits itself for the 3rd time in its confusion. Golem lands a Rock Slide that is just unable to kill Zapdos, and Wailord dodges the hit altogether. Wailord gets off a Scald on Golem, and it's Blissey versus the world. We Seismic Toss Zapdos, killing it, but immediately get hit with a static proc. This is a double-edged sword, because now we can't be burned by Scald, but are also unable to move on random turns, which when utilizing a Wish Protect strategy is unbelievably important. Through a series of seismic tosses and wishing our health back, we're able to barely make it out of the battle. Our team in ruins. We've now moved on to our second box of dead Pokemon. As usual, we hit the mainland and rebuild our team, terrified of the Gorigan battle that comes next. Gorigan leads both Tyranitar and Flygon. Tyranitar is a duplicate encounter, and Flygon comes up tails, so we have free reign to kill both of these Pokemon. A combination of U-Turn and Aqua Tail is enough to kill Tyranitar. I'm so done. I'm so done, dude. Oh, never mind. Big Fish is chilling. Oh, is Tyranitar dead? Okay, actually. Let's go! Donphan hits the field, and they both target down Gyarados, who I swap in for Nidoqueen. Walrein then nets a double kill with Blizzard, and Gorigan sends out Aerodactyl and Cacturn. I send out both Crobat and Gyarados to get 2 Intimidates off. We try and get an Aqua Tail off on Aerodactyl, but unfortunately, Cacturn sucks it up with Storm Drain, gaining some special attack and wrecking my Lantern with a Dark Pulse. We're fortunate that a -2 Aerodactyl can't kill Gyarados with a Rock Slide, and we land an Aerial Ace on Cacturn, removing it from play altogether. Shadow Registeel. Can we catch? Alright. Alright. Got ourselves a game, folks. We got ourselves a run. An insane gift from the coin. This has the potential to turn the run around. In the process of catching this thing, Nidoqueen is sacrificed, but now we have a huge defensive steel type on our side. One more Cipher Peon later, and we're on to Eldace, the last boss before Grieval. We've got this kind of buttoned up here. We came very close to wiping on Ardos. I'm not giving Eldace the same slack. I'm just not. Eldace has a Sun team, but we're able to give Bayonet Rain Dance in order to immediately offset the Sun with Prankster Weather. Also, another welcome surprise, this is the only fight that Beedrill has come to since the Cipher Lab. Moltres, naturally, comes up tails. We U-turn out on Ninetales and go directly into Blissey, protecting with Bayonet. Walrein then comes through to automatically set the Hail, getting rid of the Sun, and being able to potentially set up an Aurora Veil. Blissey gets hit by a Shadow Storm from Moltres, and yeah, you guessed it, it gets confused. I'm definitely going to Aurora Veil. I'm glad Blissey is confused. That's very cool. I'm so happy that this game is so fun. The next turn, a Ninetales protects, Shadow Storm misses, and Blissey breaks through confusion to get a Toxic off on Moltres as Walrein sets up the Aurora Veil finally. An absolutely perfect turn. This puts us in a seriously good position for the rest of the battle. With Moltres getting KO'd and Ninetales on a timer, Beedrill is able to kill Shiftry with First Impression on the turn a Ninetales dies from Toxic. Charizard and Exeggutor are up to bat, and this is the other reason we brought Beedrill, just in case Exeggutor was an ineligible encounter and we had to kill it. We snag Exeggutor and take out Eldace's Charizard and Camerupt, winning us the battle with no losses. Now, that was all the encounters that we were able to get in Citadark Isle, with 14 of 31 of them being eligible to be caught, or 45%. Not as bad as the Key Lair or even Phoenix City, but still below the promised 50%. Finally, we're at the end. The last fight in the game is with Grandmaster Grieval, and this one, well, let's just say it didn't go as planned. In Pokémon XD, Grieval leads with Shadow Lugia in a 2v1 situation, and then, after defeating or catching the Shadow Lugia, he jumps into a 6v6 with his full team of Shadow Pokemon. We prepare for the battle to take place as such, making sure our leads are optimized for Lugia first and then his actual team second. So when I, after 2 hours of prep, more battle bingo, item purchasing, moveset optimizing, gameplay strategizing, enter the elevator that takes me up to Grieval, I expect everything to go according to plan. Then, this happens. What is this? What is this? No. 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 What? This isn't in the docks. It's below the other one. No, I see Chaser Ruby. Grandmaster Grieval. Absol, Steelix, Altaria, Executor, Lantern, Marowak. It's underneath the post game. I don't feel good about this. We're gonna lose. This battle was located underneath the post-game trainer section of the documentation, hidden from my preparation. My chat, who was working on me with strategy, neglected to inform me that this is how Citadark Isle concluded. This is the same stream that we dealt with this. And this. And this. And this. And this and this and this and this and this and this and this. I'd been streaming for 6 hours at this point, and was over 45 hours deep into the run as a whole. But it's fine. I guess this is funnier, huh? We decide that we're going to do our best to get through the battle with the tools we have, doing our best to keep our important team members alive for the following Shadow Lugia fight. Unfortunately, this battle that we specifically did not prep for is able to get a couple over on us, fainting both Walrein and Crobat prior to the Shadow Lugia fight.
Well, we know it's Lugia now.
Oh, but we do get healed, which means that Zangoose isn't Flame Orbed. Our leads are alive. Our leads are fine. Heals after Lugia? You're f***ing joking me. Guys, I'm so angry. How am I supposed to do this? Yeah, so as it turns out, this unexpected battle leads directly into the Shadow Lugia fight, with no ability to heal my team. We had the Shadow Lugia fight pretty buttoned up with our Sneasel and Blissey leads, but them both starting the battle in the red HP means we're going to have to be really tricky in order to get through this at all. Now, during my prep for this fight, I calced to see how much 2 Night Slashes would do to Lugia after a Fake Out and 2 turns of Toxic. This is what the whole strategy was based on. However, do you all remember how Manectric died? Remember the Shadow Boost that the Cacturne had that allowed it to outspeed? So, Cacturne appeared to be level 54, but was actually level 60. Hold on. Bro, what kind of up damage is that? Wait, you're faster? Why are you faster? This Lugia appears to be level 60, but is actually effectively level 100. Oh, here's what I'm going to do. None of that counted. This counts, though. This battle will count. And when we win, we will have won the Nuzlocke. Sounds good to you, right? Sounds good to me. My chat, as a whole, agreed that we would take the previous events as a fluke and just have this Grieval fight be the final fight of the run. Now, this is not to say that there's no way around this final stretch of Grieval fights. If we had known we had to fight a team of 6, a level 100 Shadow Lugia, and then fight a team of 6 Shadows, I'm sure with enough prep and even some better encounters, we could have developed a strategy to make it through. But you know, I'm proud of how I've played to get to this point, and we still have to get through Grieval's monstrous team of pseudo-legendaries and bulky attackers in order to finish the run. Grieval leads with Tauros and Snorlax, both of which we have a pretty poor matchup into. Snorlax lands heads, and Tauros comes up tails. However, none of the Pokemon that we get heads on will be usable for the rest of the run. It just gives us permission to remove them from the battle by use of snagging them. We send in Registeel and Crobat to eat up their moves, intimidating both of them, and also burning them with Will-O-Wisp from Crobat. Oh, you're in Rage mode in the final battle of the game to lose all the HP. Thanks, Registeel. After a bit of chip and some stalling, I send in Walrein to get up in Aurora Veil, helping us the next few turns. We catch Snorlax, and Alakazam comes in, who we Sucker Punch to kill. Except, it doesn't die, and we take a big hit on Walrein. Tauros and Zam are both dead next turn anyways to our various forms of priority. Dragonite and Slacking hit the field. Now, if you know anything about Slacking, you know it's an absolute beast already. Except, here's what Stars did to it in this hack. Yeah, for whatever reason, it has base 750 stats. I'm pretty over the ending portion of this game, if I'm being honest. Anyway, we cripple it with Will-O-Wisp and are able to finish off the Dragonite with Sucker Punch as they both target down our Blissey, knowing it's frail and easy to murder on the physical side. Salamence comes out and Grieval is on his last 2 Pokemon. Blissey is useless at this point, and in order to get Sneasel on the field to finish off Salamence, we allow Mence to Shadow Hunter our Blissey, killing it. Thank you for saving the run, Blissey. I really appreciate it. Sneasel comes in, Ice Punches Salamence, but it falls to the Shadow Shake as Crobat and Zangoose are able to finish off Slacking with a Poison Jab and Close Combat combo. That was, with a very small asterisk at the very end, Pokémon XG Gale of Darkness as a hardcore Nuzlocke on our first attempt. This game was an absolute blast, and Stars did a fantastic job of making it feel like a completely different experience than the game it was based on. So many of the Pokemon were fun to use, and doubles always makes for exciting moments. However, if I'm being honest, despite Grieval's absolute absurdity of this final boss fight, I think the coin proved to be the real enemy all the way through the run. Here's a graphic of the mons the coin gave us versus the mons it told us we couldn't have. I don't know. To me, while we certainly got some good Pokemon, I don't think the 49% split accurately reflects what we had to work with. I highly recommend giving this game a try, even if you've never played a Pokemon game. It's just the right amount of challenging, and despite some places of absurd balancing quirks, like at the very end, it's definitely the best way to play through Pokémon XD. If you made it this far in the video and you enjoy this type of content, please consider leaving a like on the video, and let me know what your favorite moment of the run was in the comment section. Also, please consider subscribing, as I do all types of challenge runs just like this, as well as many other fun things. Alright, that's all for me for today. I'm gonna go play some more Battle Bingo. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time.